Hey babe, welcome to Bone This Way. I'm your host, Jordan Bone. There's no limits here, so buckle up, baby, and enjoy the ride. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. Today, still easing in, still no guests, unfortunately. They're coming. Don't you worry about that. They are coming. But today I'm going to talk about my trip, my amazing trip to America. And I just want to talk about experiences when you're away and stuff. I think it's important to live your life fully. If you can do certain things, do it. Like, we can hold ourselves back from doing things. I remember when I was young, I had some money raised for me so I could go to California because I was always obsessed with California. It all stemmed from loving The OC. Who here loved The OC, the TV show? Because it makes me feel old that I saw it was like the 20th anniversary. I was like, how? Freaking love The OC. Who was your favorite character, by the way? I remember I went through some phases of loving Ryan, and then I was really into Seth, and I had like this zip-up hoodie that said I'm a Seth girl. And then obviously Marissa Cooper was a disaster, and then I had my car accident, and then I was like watching her accident episode, like cry my eyes out. But that's another freaking story. The OC could be a whole episode. Anyway, I don't even know where. So my obsession with California started so young. And then I had a bit of money raised for me, not loads, but a little bit, to put towards a trip to California. And this was when I was like 16 years old. However, I only went to California when I was like 28. I was 28, I think, the first time I went to California. And it was so funny. I was like, what was stopping me? So since then, I've been 4 times. And it's so funny to think that I was holding myself back because of a long flight, or organizing my care, or perhaps because I had a partner at the time. I was like anxious to sort all of it out and it all be on me. Like that was like my relationship when I was younger. And it's all so funny how we can hold ourselves back and give ourselves excuses. So I was just worried to even ask people to go with me. And I'm like, oh my God, if my work asked me to go to California and I would just be working, but I'd be living these experiences, I would be buzzing. So I need to look at it from that point of view, because I remember years ago, like way after I went, before I even went to California, I went to New York with Urban Decay, and that was a 2-night trip. Just think, I'm flying all the way to New York just for 2 nights, and it was a jam-packed schedule. But I was like, I'm making this happen. I'm gonna make myself be able to do this, because this is once in a lifetime. Like, I'm being paid, flown out, and the hotel's paid for, and I just have to be there with this brand. And it was incredible, so incredible. So I started to look at things a different way, I think, when I was about 27, and I started to live my life in my own way and on my terms, and do what everyone else does. Everyone else in the world has holidays. I deserve them too. And of course I went on holidays, went on trips, but I always found like perhaps I was just scared to go to California because it was a really long flight and I didn't think people would want to go away for so long. But anyway, like I said, I've been like 4 times now. So we can always find excuses for not doing things and find excuses for, living in that comfortable life. But as soon as we step out our comfort zone and do the thing that we actually want to do, we will feel great and proud of ourselves. And that's what living is. Like, that's what life's about. It's experiencing new things, going places. It's such a short amount of your time. So think 2 weeks out of a whole year. Like, it's not a lot. And I need to stop saying like all the time, but I've always done it. I can't help it at the moment. But life is so short, but also too long to not do the things that you want to do. So find your way of doing it. Some things may be a bit of hassle, but if you want to do something, you will do it eventually. So maybe it was just the right time for me to go when I first did, because that trip will always remain in my heart. It was amazing. And there were so many aspects to that trip that was so magical as well. And I'm going to do an episode about the best day I had this year, which was actually on holiday, maybe in my next episode or the episode after that. And that was the day I had in Malibu. And when I tell you that story, I'm also going to tell you another story of things that happened in Malibu. So I feel like Malibu is very magical, and I will go into that in my other podcast. But I just wanted to talk all about what I'm talking about right now, which is how amazing traveling is and getting out your comfort zone, even when it can be a little more tricky sometimes. Because so to book a hotel and to book a holiday and to book the flights and stuff as a wheelchair user isn't the easiest. It's not like, oh, let's just go on a random website, get the cheapest thing we can, and just pray for the best. No, I have to make sure it's accessible, and not just accessible. Like, it has to be accessible with a wet room or like a walk-in shower, not a bath, because I can't get in the bath. Like, how am I supposed to get in the bath? I physically can't anyway. Some people can. So everyone's disability is different. So a lot of places obviously have baths, but I need the shower. And I need to make sure that some hotels can fit enough people in, enough room in one room, like enough space for 4 people potentially in one room, which is good in America because most of the time that can happen. In the UK, not so much. And it's annoying if I have to buy 2 hotel rooms, but it is what it is. And I have to just be mindful of that when I'm doing things in life. So it's not the most simple, but I will tell you, it's freaking worth it. So I think getting out your own way and just pulling your finger out and starting to do things and just actually doing the hard work so you can then have a good time is worth it. Nothing is really, really simple and easy. However, I will say on this trip, I had in total, I was a bit nervous about this. I had 4 flights and 3 out of 4 were perfect. And even the 4th one, it wasn't, perfect. But I landed back in the UK after a night flight. So I was absolutely knackered because I could never sleep on the flight, which is just so annoying. That's why I need to, go in first class at some point in my life. I have once. I did on my 30th birthday. But everything's way more expensive these days. Anyway, I digress. We landed in the UK and the staff were like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm waiting for the aisle chair. They were like, we weren't aware you needed an aisle chair. But this just was so funny to me at this point because I was like, what? I was like, I got on with an aisle chair. So of course I do. So I had to use their really unsupportive aisle chair guys. Like on the plane, the aisle chairs aren't as, not as supportive, not as secure, and they're not as high backed. So I had this tiny little chair, this onboard chair, I would say, to get me off the plane. So that was kind of a little scary and wasn't ideal. So we get off the plane, I get back in my chair. So that was good. It wasn't like the disaster in Jersey. Like all of these were fine. And this was just the worst one. I get in my chair and then the man says to us, you need to hurry up. The gate's going to close. And we were like, excuse me, if you would have got the aisle chair on time and everything, we would have been on time with the gate situation. That was nothing to do with us. I hate when people talk to you so badly and it's like they must be having a bad day. But still, it's not right, is it? Especially when they're at work doing their thing and they're trying to make you feel good. Like they should be making you feel good. You've been on a holiday, like they're at work, And I'm a polite person. I don't get it. It's so weird sometimes. People can be strange, but whatever. They're living their lives. If they're having a bad day, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so that was the only bad experience flying with Virgin. I love Virgin. I always fly with Virgin pretty much when I go to the States. Whilst I was in America, I went to California, LA, and then I flew to Nashville after a week. So I stayed in LA for a week and then I flew to Nashville. But whilst I was in America, I had to fly with obviously an internal flight, and that was with Delta. So that plane was a lot smaller because it was just like an internal flight plane. So that was smaller. So it was a little bit scarier. I don't know. I hate taking off, guys. That's my worst part, but I'm okay once I'm up in the air. So we flew to Nashville and that was fine. And that was so smooth, guys, literally. When we got to the airport in LAX, we had to check in because my phone wasn't working to let us check in. The confirmation number and stuff wasn't working. The flight number wasn't working for me. So I had to check in there. And it was so easy. I had to pay for my luggage because it wasn't in the price when I booked the whole holiday. It was like a package thing, but they said you're going to have to pay for your Delta suitcases at the airport, your luggage at the airport, because I don't know, it just was different. But it was actually quite cheap. It was like $30 a case. And I got one for free because I had a medical case, which made such a difference. So if you have to take a lot of medical stuff, guys, take an extra case. You get the same amount of weight as you do for your regular case for medical stuff. So then it's more fair, because all these years, I've only just found this out, but all these years I've been going around with one case with all of my medical stuff spread out between the cases. And then it's just like, I couldn't pack that other pair of shoes that I really needed, you know. And, you know, I like having all my nice outfits and my makeup and all that jazz. So, yeah, that was really, really handy, and that was free. And I also take a little fishing chair to sit in to shower. So they let me have that for free as well. So that was good. That was so smooth. And it was so laid back. It was weird. The most stressful airport was London, Heathrow, actually. Even though Heathrow is a really nice airport, like the shops and stuff are great. But whoever gets a chance to like mooch around the airport, I don't know. It seems to go so quick for me. Anyway, maybe that's just because I have to go through assistance and all shit like that. But yeah, LAX was fine. They were really helpful. It was smooth. We got to Nashville and the cases were just there. They were like, oh, this is so easy. Like, what the fuck is going on? This is incredible. Like, no waiting around. LAX was the same, actually. When we landed from Heathrow to LAX, our cases were just there. We were like, this is amazing. On the flight, guys, as well, I kept seeing 444. And then we kept seeing 444 everywhere. We were like, oh my God. I was like, this holiday is going to be the best ever. I keep seeing 444. And then I think we had to go to like the, you know, where you get your luggage. And I think it was at 44 or something like that. Anyway, it was great. It was all easy. It was fine. It was probably better, well, way better than I expected, considering I had that terrible EasyJet flight recently, and that was just for an hour's flight. Just think all the flights that I just did for so long. Anyway, so I got 4 because I went to LA, Nashville to New York. I didn't go to New York. I just had to swap planes in New York because there's no direct flight with Virgin to the UK, which is annoying. But that was fine. It just gave me a minute to stretch out a little bit. And then I got on a flight to Heathrow. And like I said, the only negative was the aisle chair at the end of the flight. And to be honest, I was delirious at this point. I hadn't slept in like 24 hours. So I was just like, just whatever. I just want to go home. I can't even bother to complain right now. But I did make my voice known still. I still was like, well, this isn't fair. Anyway, I'm digressing so hard on this. Oh my God. We're talking about although this might be interesting for you. And now I'm getting tangled in my wires of the microphone and the headphones. But yeah, I stayed at the Hollywood Roosevelt in Hollywood. And I would say that's probably the best part about Hollywood, to be honest. If that hotel was somewhere else, I would stay at it somewhere else. I actually wanted to stay in West Hollywood. West Hollywood's a lot nicer. That's where like Sunset Boulevard is. I love Sunset Boulevard. That's a really great street to just go down. And I went to Saddle Ranch and just sat out the front and just people watched. But it's so funny because it's such a famous street and it's such a busy street in terms of like maybe traffic. It's like a one that you would go down to get a lot of places if you were staying in that area or if you were coming from another place. Like that is a really busy street in that sense. But it's so weird to me when I'm in such a place that's so famous, but it's kind of dead. And I'm like, where are all the people? And that's what I kept saying when I was in LA a lot. I was like, where is everyone? So we were at Saddle Ranch, and there was no one in there at first. And we were like the first people to sit outside and be there. And I was like, this is crazy. There's no one around. But that's a really good street to go on. But I would say Hollywood, like Hollywood Walk of Fame, it's actually getting really bad for homeless people. And I don't just mean just homeless people. These are homeless people who are on something that I have not seen before. I'm obviously very naive. And my friend even got punched in the face. Like, she was putting something in the bin and this person just smacked her in the face. But it's not like you could even say anything to these people because they probably didn't even know she was there, or it's not like how a drunk person would be or anything like that. It's really sad, to be honest. And you see it a lot on Hollywood, but Walk of Fame, like Boulevard, and it's just a bit of a dark space. I feel like that had such dark energy. The hotel, though, is really iconic and beautiful. So it's a stark contrast, to be honest, with all the, it's like, I felt a bit like Hollywood wants you to look down at the stars on the floor to keep you from what's actually going on around. So it's like keeping your head down instead of looking up and actually witnessing what's going on. That's how it felt. It's kind of felt like a bit of a darkness. But like I said, the hotel's iconic. I think there was a ghost in my room and I didn't feel scared though, guys. So let's tell you a little story about the hotel. So the hotel is the Hollywood Roosevelt. Marilyn Monroe used to live there. A lot of famous people have lived there, and it's very, very iconic and famous. If you look it up, you'll find loads of stories. And one morning we were getting ready and I had my country playlist on because I had like this little cube thing that you could play your music through, a little speaker. And I had my music on. It was like Morgan Wallen or something. And then it changed halfway through the song to Wet Ass Pussy. I was like, what the hell? This isn't even on this playlist. Like, what? And then halfway through that, it's changed to a song called Pound Town, which I'd never heard of before. And I just was laughing. Me and Lois were like, what the hell is going on? This is creepy. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, the next night in bed, I couldn't sleep. I had the worst jet lag ever in LA. It was terrible. I was so tired all the time, but then waking up in the middle of the night, and it's so annoying. So what would a normal person do? Well, they would try and sleep or meditate or listen to relaxing music. Do you know what I did, guys? I Googled the hauntings at the Roosevelt Hotel. Like, what is my brain to do that? Because that would freaking freak me out normally, but it didn't. It was weird. And then I read about this guy called Montgomery Clift, and he was an actor. And they say he haunts room 928. This is what I was reading. And I was like, oh, fuck. I'm in 921. And then the next day when I went out the room, I was like, oh my God, 928 is literally opposite me. And in this piece that was written online, it said that he haunts the hallway of 928 as well. And I'm literally in the hallway. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh my God. Anyway, that day, my mum was in my room and she was like, is the aircon on? And I was like, no. And she was like, something cold has just gone across my foot. And I was like, what? I was like, Montgomery, what are you doing, hun? Then I fake tanned a few days later. And I was like, something wet just went on my arm. What the fuck? I was like, someone just splashed me or something, like someone, I don't know, like someone else in the room, like maybe they just washed their hands. And I touched my arm and it was dry. There was nothing there. And no one had just washed their hands. So I was like, this is creepy now. And it reminded me, because then Renata said to me, she was like, well, can you remember last year you thought something happened? I was like, oh my God, yeah. So last year I stayed at the same hotel and I was in the room on my own and the door opened. I couldn't see it because I was at like the table and it's kind of around the corner, but the door opened, but I didn't hear it then shut again. And I was like going, hello, hello. And then I wheeled over to the door. The door wasn't open. There was no one there. And I could feel my heart was racing and I forgot about this. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. So that hotel, it did feel haunted and obviously those strange things happened, but it didn't feel dark or scary, which was really strange because the actual place of Hollywood feels very dark and scary. So yeah, that's that story. But that was a very nice room because the view, if you haven't seen on my Instagram, I had the view of the Hollywood sign and I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. Doing my makeup every morning looking at the Hollywood sign, whereas usually I'm just in my bedroom looking in the mirror at myself. Like no view behind me, in front of me I should say. But yeah, that was really, really beautiful. But It's crazy, isn't it? How you can feel energy, and how I would be able to tell if that was like a dark energy, like scary or threatening, but it didn't. It felt kind of fine, and I didn't feel like I wanted to run away. But however, outside of this place felt awful. Um, Not awful, that's dramatic. Just not great, not the best. Um, so that's one story. I feel like I have a million. So would this podcast be super long? I don't know. Let's just roll with it. So I saw some celebrities in America, of course, which was pretty cool. It's always nice to just see people. I don't know. There's just something cool about it. Not necessarily to say anything, but just to see people. And we went to the beautiful, another iconic place, the Chateau Marmont, on the first day. And I always go there because I think it's very inspiring, because it's such a place where so many creatives have been, and so many stories could be told through the walls of the Chateau Marmont. And it's just so beautiful in the little courtyard. It isn't the most accessible place. Like, they have a little ramp, but it's the steepest ramp in the world. I don't think anyone who was really strong and even a paraplegic could push themselves up it. So it is very steep. However, they have a ramp. It's not easy, but it's fine because I'm not pushing myself up it. Then they have a lift, and it's all very old, but it's manageable. And everyone's really kind. And you know what was so refreshing was I needed books to go under the table because the table's far too low outside. And so we asked, and the lady was like, yep, I've got you. I'll be there in a minute with the books. And she was like, and then the man said something like, oh yeah, we did this last time. I was like, you remember me? I love that. That was like a year ago. But how lovely. Like, in the UK, sometimes people can be a bit like, ooh, so that's another thing I love about America, is that people are just like, yep, let's get on it. And that is, just think as well, that is a really like posh kind of, not semi-posh, like kind of place that you could think that maybe they're going to be a bit pretentious, but they weren't. So that's an extra point there. But when we were there, as I was saying, Leon Bridges walked past us, and I was like, he looks so freaking cool, guys. If you don't know who Leon Bridges is, listen to his music. He is so amazing, but he looks so cool. And he has like this Western style, like country vibe about him, which is cowboy vibe. I love it. But he had his guitar with him as well, and this really nice, cool outfit, and these massive like YSL sunglasses, and he just looked suave and like a vibe. So that was cool to see. And he was like, hi. I was like, hi, it's Leon Bridges. Oh my God. No one else knew who he was, but fine. Oh my God, the dogs are here and they're barking. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that was good. And then do you know what was so good? We had lunch and stuff. And then my mum and Lois, I said to them, look, could I just maybe have half an hour? I would love to sit here, have a coffee, have half an hour on my own. I never get to do this. And write a little poem. And even if I don't write much, let me just have that feeling of a bit of normality, like, or what could have been. It felt like, I voice noted my friend Hannah afterwards and said, this like is what could have been, you know, just being there on my own. So they left me for half an hour, not because I'm unsociable, but it was just something that I needed to do for me. So if you need to do something for you, do it, because especially if you don't get much time on your own, doing something like that, like a little, some people don't ever want to have time on their own, but when you don't ever get to have it properly like that, you crave it. So I had a bit of time on my own and just wrote a little poem, probably a little shitty poem, but it didn't matter. I was just sitting there absorbing the energy, like trying to draw it all into my soul to just be inspired to maybe write something else in the future, and just to feel like I was just Jordan in LA at the Chateau Marmont, where so many iconic people have created and sat and been inspired and maybe got a little too drunk, or just so many stories are there. And Lana Del Rey stayed there for a long time, and you know, I love Alana, so it was very, very cool. So I got to do that, and yeah, that was awesome. I had a great time. There's so many stories of this trip, and you know, reflecting on it now, it's just so lovely because it was just the best. And whilst I was there, we went to Gala Darling's Vortex, and it was her last ever Vortex. And I kind of incorporated that within my trip because I knew that was happening on the 12th of August. So I kind of wanted to be there because I've been in the Vortex for a couple of years, and you get to go to the Vortex Fest as part of your like subscription to the course kind of thing, if that makes sense. So I didn't have to pay to go or anything. And I was like, I really want to go and just meet some amazing people and feel the energy. And I knew, I then found out afterwards, like Chelsea was going to be speaking there, and she's my poetry teacher and my friend. She is incredible. She is so inspiring and motivates us all, right? She's incredible. Hopefully she can come on the podcast someday. But anyway, I just really wanted to go. So we went to that. So that was amazing too. And to be part of something, that was the last Vortex Fest. So that was really, really nice to go to and just be surrounded by good energy. And it was very pink, very Barbie, and I loved it. We did some tapping. We listened to them speak, like all the people speak, and it was a vibe. So that was something else that I did whilst I was there. I felt like I did so many different kinds of things. And then there was days that we went to the Beverly Hills Hotel, which is just beautiful. And do you know what's so funny? At the Beverly Hills Hotel, in the garden, like in the lounge bit, I find it a bit boring. But going to the garden area, like the courtyard area, and like the lighting, there's just like some, do you know what? I feel like Beverly Hills has its own light because like everywhere else just seems whatever. Beverly Hills and the Beverly Hills Hotel, it's like a light where angelic kind of light where even when I was taking a selfie, I was like, oh my God, like even on, it was just far, like everything looked so much more glowy and bright, and my eyes looked brighter and everything just looked more beautiful. And I was like, Beverly Hills has a beautiful glow about it. Like, is this like a spot? Like, is this a vortex? Are we in a vortex? Because why is everything pretty in Beverly Hills? Like, what? Even on my camera. Like, so all the lighting in the Beverly Hills Hotel, like courtyard bit, is just so pretty. Like, there's selfies of me and mum, and it's just like, well, I don't have to do anything to those. Like, you know, when you think, oh, excuse me, I burped. Oops, pardon. Like you'll take a selfie and you'll be like, I feel like I look really nice today. Take a selfie. And you're like, oh, what the hell? I can see every single makeup line, pore, whatever. There, it just seems like it blurs your face. I don't know what it's about. I'm just going to say it's the energy. But, you know, if you go there, make sure you save some money. It's super expensive. And I think the one thing that I don't like about America is like tax is added on at the end. So if you're buying anything, you've got to be like, oh, plus tax. But it's so annoying because you'll be like, oh, a cocktail's what? And let's just make up a price like $15, say, which at the Beverly Hills Hotel, it's more like $25. I can't remember. Yeah, I think they were $25 a cocktail. So the credit card came out that day. So it's $25 and then they add tax onto it. And then obviously a tip, which whatever about the tip, it is what it is. It's the way they do things over there. But I just think the tax should be in the price because it's always going to be in the price. It's not like you can take it off ever. So it's just stupid to me. I just don't get it. Even if you were going to like a shop, like say if you were in H&M or something or Urban Outfitters, whatever you want to be in, and you think, oh, this top's $20. No, it's not when you get to the till. And it's so annoying. Even on things like you're buying chocolates, anything you're buying, they add, it's like you've got to be good at maths if you live there. It's so annoying. Anyway. So yeah, Beverly Hills is so pretty, and I wouldn't say you have to go to Beverly Hills Hotel, but if you want to, then I would recommend maybe just going for a cocktail or a little light bite to eat and just embracing like also the stories that have been there. Like that is a beautiful building, and it's more like the colors and stuff. It's just pretty, and it's just to enjoy. Beverly Hills, just walking around the streets in Beverly Hills is so fun too, because it's just like, oh, let's imagine that we live here. Okay, so this is my street. This is where I live. This is so, you know, I don't know. I just don't understand how some people are so wealthy. And do you know what? Let's manifest that we'll be there one day. It's incredible. But yeah, that was LA. And there was other things that I did as well. I actually had a lady come and say hi to me in Beverly Hills. And she was like, I follow you on Instagram. And that literally made my day, because I was like, how? Like I don't feel like anyone knows who I am anymore. But that was really sweet. But you know, I love I love being in America. It's accessible. It's oh, LA was really good with Ubers and accessible Ubers as well. Like you could just get an accessible Uber and wheel in and not have to get out of the wheelchair. They just wheeled you in. I was like, this is perfect. A bit different in Nashville though. I couldn't find any wheelchair accessible Ubers in Nashville. However, there was a service, I think, because I Googled it, for wheelchair accessible taxis, but we never needed one in the end. We just walked everywhere. So I think that will do for LA, unless I think of something else. Oh, we saw Quentin Tarantino, guys. I did, actually. My mum and Lois were in bed, and Renata didn't know who he was. And I was like, Pulp Fiction. And she was like, huh? It was funny because Pulp Fiction ended up being on at the hotel a couple of days later. But yeah, I saw Quentin Tarantino. He was with Eli Roth, the actor. And I believe he's an actor. Yeah, it said I think he was in Hostel or something. But I just was like, wow, that's so cool. And as he was walking, so many people were going up to him and talking to him. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not. Like, we're in this nice hotel. He's having a drink. I'm not doing that. It's not like I'm obviously a fan of his work, but it's not like I need to speak to him. But then when he was leaving, other people went over to him and I thought, oh, do you know what? I'm on friggin' holiday. I will regret it if I don't say hi. So I went over and I was like, hi, you're iconic. I'm Jordan. And I shook his hand and he's like, thank you. And he had really soft hands, but I just thought it was so funny. I was like, you're iconic and I'm Jordan. But yeah, I just thought I wanted to, it's like, just be brave, just do the things, like, just, you know, there's a tactful way of doing everything. And I think that's the key. Just be mindful and not be like, can I take a picture? Like, can I put a camera in your face? I did it when it was he'd walked around the corner. So it's a bit more subtle. Not that I can be that subtle in my wheelchair going along these like cobbledy like tiles, but I just do the things that I'm guided to do. I listen to my intuition and my guidance, my inner guidance. I love this podcast. It's making me reminisce. But that's LA. Maybe I should just do another podcast about Nashville, or should I do it here? Let me think. Oh, let's just talk about it. Let's just talk. So we then flew to Nashville. And if I've missed anything out about LA, I'm going to be so annoyed, but I will get back to it at some point in my life. I always think as well, what I say is what's needed to be said. So hopefully you're enjoying this and hopefully it's making you think, I don't know, just to live your best life and do things and be brave and be bold and like just be that main character. Like you are the main character of your life. And I'm just grateful that I was able to do this. So going to Nashville was amazing. I've never been there before, so I didn't know what to expect in the slightest. I thought to myself that perhaps 6 nights was a bit long because it seems like a party place. It seems like somewhere people go for a weekend. And I wasn't wrong in that sense, but I wasn't right about it being too long because it was perfect. I could have stayed there longer. I could stay there forever. I could live in Nashville. I feel like I'm a Nashville girl now. A Malibu and Nashville girl. That's what I think I am. So being in Nashville was amazing. It's all like music, bars. You can get super dressed up, or you can just be in your shorts and a crop top, or just in a big old t-shirt or anything. It's like people just were so friendly, so kind, so cool, and I just loved it, guys. It was like you would, even at the airport, right? There was live music at the airport. I was like, where am I? Like, this is heaven. So we got an Uber to the hotel. And that first day we were like, well, we're just tired because we had to get up at like 3 a.m. No, I think I got up at 2 a.m. Something like that. I don't know. Whatever. 3 a.m. And we just sort of chilled on the rooftop that day, and we got this cowboy hat of cocktails. It was like a margarita in a cowboy hat, but I tried to take a picture of it, but you couldn't really tell because it was perspex and it was clear, so you couldn't really tell it's a cowboy hat on the photo, but it was cool. So we just drank that, sat on the roof and just chilled, had an early night really. And then the next day we went to the Johnny Cash Museum. I was a bit gutted that I didn't go to the Country Music Hall of Fame. I kind of wish I'd done that, but there's always next time. And we went to Broadway after the Johnny Cash Museum. I love Johnny Cash, by the way. I've loved him for a long time. I think ever since I watched the movie Walk the Line all those years ago, I just really started to love country music more then, I think, as well. Anyway, So that was really cool. Also, guys, he loved June so much. He loved her. And I feel like if someone isn't that into me and doesn't write me little notes like he did her, then I don't want it. I don't want it. Amazing. So much love. But obviously he has so much chaos in his life too. But anyway, it's another story, not for me to tell. So we went to Broadway and we went to some bars and it was fun, and we were just having a nice day, having a few drinks, went in a couple of the little souvenir shops, got a couple of magnets and stuff like that. And then we ended up in this karaoke bar, which we went in a couple of times in the end, called the Wild Beaver Saloon. And that was just so fun. But at this point, guys, I was drunk, and I actually put it on my TikTok this morning of me like singing Silver Springs, thinking I was freaking Stevie Nicks, and I was trying to get everyone to sing, and I sound so shit because I'm tipsy and I keep going like, time casts a spell on you, but you won't forget me, and I'm just like, so funny. But I feel like this summer I've learned to laugh at myself instead of having that anxiety, because I was having so much fun, so it doesn't matter. I wasn't hurting anyone. Everyone was having a laugh. Like, it was amazing. So I was at this karaoke bar singing, and then I sang with a couple of people, and there's like one of those balls that you can ride in there. Obviously I couldn't do that, but there's that in there. It was so fun. It was a vibe, and that, yeah, I had so much fun. But that was in the week, and I would say for me personally, I preferred Nashville, like Broadway, in the week when it wasn't as busy, because then when it turned to we went Friday night out again, and it seemed a little more commercial in a way, even though it wasn't, because every single bar has a band playing in the day, in the evening, and the Wednesday, it just seemed, I don't know, I just found it a little more like, it felt like more authentic, which sounds ridiculous because it is what it is. They're still doing the same thing, but I think because there was more people on the Friday night, I don't know, it's just something about it. I preferred it, but it was still so much fun, and everyone's just so friendly, and I definitely want to go back there. I stayed at the Virgin Hotel. It was really good for access, so that was fab. That was on Music Row, and I think that was a really good location. I really liked the location of that. But like I said, I would like to go again and do more. It was just my dream. It was like people singing, people having drinks, but being happy. We also went to White Limousine, and that is really pretty, guys. And I know a lot of you, if you look at Nashville, will think, oh, we have to go to White Limousine. I would say go to White Limousine if you want to have some cute little pictures. It's not actually owned by Dolly Parton, which I thought it was, but it's not. They have a lot of Dolly Parton photos and a massive like Dolly Parton head. Like, it's so cool. It looks pretty, but well, I went in the day, there wasn't atmosphere, so I like going places with atmosphere. It felt really Instagram, when things are just like Instagrammable and just pretty. So that was nice for that. It was funny because we came out of there, I was in my little feather trousers. If you haven't seen on Instagram, I love that freaking outfit. It was like a pink rhinestone corset with these fluffy pink trousers and my little gold cowboy boots. Anyway, I had this like real bougie outfit on. Then I come out, and then we hear like someone playing live music in a bar like called Losers. Well, it's called Losers, and there's one next door called Winners. So it's like one place, but it was on the Losers side. So that was funny. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, should we just go in there? Like, we were walking back to the hotel. We were going to get changed and then head back down to Broadway. This was the Friday that was on about. So we go into this bar, and like this guy's playing the guitar and singing and taking requests, and like these people like singing on to people in the bars, they are singing constantly. I'm like, how do they sing so long? Like, I'd be out of breath. Like, that's impressive for how long they sing, it seems anyway. So they were taking requests, and then he was like asking us where we were from. Obviously we're from the UK. Anyway, he then sings Shallow, and of course, like, I'm like, yeah, my favorite. So obviously I'm like singing along. It's not even like that. I feel like people heard, well, they clearly heard me. So there was these people who were going to the rodeo who were behind us, and they were like, oh my God, we'll pay to hear you sing. That was just so funny. And I was like, So then the guy, Chris, his name is, he he said to me, yeah, come, what do you want to sing? So I was like on the spot, and I was like, Creep. I was like, You missed a shot with Shallow, to be honest, because there's the girl part you could have called me on. That would have been so freaking amazing. So I sang Creep. So I was just doing all the things while I was on this holiday. I was like, just do it. And I went and sat there and I was like, okay, just be fucking brave, Jordan, because you'll regret this if you don't do it. So I did it. And yeah, that was that. But we were sat there, we had some seltzers and we were like, these aren't really like doing anything. They're not like, they were just like drink. I like a seltzer, but I felt like I wanted to feel tipsy and we weren't feeling tipsy. And I just felt like I didn't want any more, too much liquid. I was like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm just drinking constantly. So I was like, should we get a shot? So we went up to the bar. We were like, what sort of flavored shots do you do? Because at this point, I didn't want to drink and like have anything like super strong, like tequila or anything like that. I was like, is there any sort of like flavored little shot? Like I was thinking like really basic, like an apple sour, like just because I wanted something just like a little flavor, a little like poop, you know? But I didn't even say that. I just said like flavored. And she was like, we have this mint one. I was like, yeah, let's do that then. That'll freshen us up, a little minty shot. And she was like, that'll be $30. I was like, what the hell? $30 for 2 shots? Oh my God. She went, do we put some water in it? And I thought, oh God, how strong is this drink? And I was like, okay. So I drank it and I was like, oh, it just tastes like I've had some Listerine, to be honest. And then we look it up and it's 100 proof, guys, which is the equivalent to 50%. And I was like, but we didn't realize. I think we found this out later. We were like, oh, okay. So that was funny. So that night was a fun night and I sang more on the karaoke, being very annoying, but having fun. I think I sang Bad Romance. My mum requested it, I think, but that was a laugh. I had the best time and had great people with me. I was with my mum and then Lois and Renata, and we had so much. Well, I just had the best time. And do you know what? Going to Nashville for longer than I expected was good because I actually had days where I could rest. So on the day, like, so for example, Saturday, I ended up being super hungover. Oh my God, guys, I haven't told you the weirdest part yet. I was super hungover, so I just was like, oh, I just want a rest day. But if I was only there for a couple of days, I'd have to keep going. I'd probably really like make myself rough. But that was good because I got to chill by the pool and not be like having FOMO thinking I need to be going seeing things. But anyway, that night, the Saturday night after the hangover day, we went back to the rooftop bar. Like after, I think we went and got tattoos. I got a cowboy hat. So we went and got tattoos. And then, we went back to the rooftop. And as it got darker, we were like noticing these things in the sky, like flying around the sky. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because I feel like maybe I should get someone on who knows more about this stuff, perhaps at some point. But basically, we saw UFOs. I say they're UFOs because we don't know what it was, but it was crazy what they were doing. Like, what the hell were these things floating around? And I feel like I need to talk to someone about it, like who's into UFOs or I need to show someone. I've got a little video, but I don't think it's very clear because it was hard to get them because they were like little orbs floating about. But all in all, I had a fabulous trip, and I'm sat here on the blue moon. Actually, it's a blue moon at the moment with the holiday blues. So I feel like I need to start planning things to look forward to. I'll start thinking about what to do for my birthday because that's in October. But I've decided that from now on, unless I change my mind, because we can always change our mind, I don't think I should go away on my birthday, like abroad, because it ends up being so expensive. Because I forgot last year I did it, but I would then realize it's freaking school holidays when it's my birthday on 24th of October. And that's probably the worst time. But do you know what? I've just said that, but I bet I'll change my mind next year. And I'll be like, I'm going away. It doesn't matter. But so that was pretty much my trip and some highlights of the trip. I've probably forgotten some things. I really probably have. There was one thing that was funny, actually. I really wanted this girl's cowboy hat. It was just like a party hat. It was pink, and I've got it now. And I said it to this guy. I was like, I really want that hat. And he was like, I'll give you $100 for this hat. And I was like, no. Don't pay $100 for that like basic party hat. It's like a fancy dress hat. But he ended up buying this whole bachelorette party shots so I could have the hat, which was so sweet. Everyone was so lovely. And I had just the best time. And I just want to go back. I feel like Nashville has a little piece of my heart right now, and I want to go and experience it some more. So if you live in Nashville, shout out. You're the best. And I will be back at some point. Someone invite me to Nashville and I'll be there. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions about my trip. You can always DM me. And yeah, let me know, as always, if there's any podcasts you'd like to hear. Sorry, this was a bit all over the place, but I don't script anything and I allow to come out what needs to come out. I just want you to know that, like I said at the start, it's not always easy to do these things, but it's always worth it. So once you do it, you've done it once, you'll be able to do it again and again and again. So yeah, get out there, live your life, because life is for living, not just for dreaming about living, but to actually start making steps towards the things you want. So go get the things that you want because you are worthy of them. I will speak to you soon. Bye.